So it's a nice late summer day here, September, just beginning, and it's quiet up here, except for that bird. A couple different birds. So I'm going to walk you through the tabernacle. I just took a bunch of pics. It was very fun. So I'm going to switch around because you don't need to see me. Here we go. So now actually you can hear those birds back there. I'll just give you a little view of how beautiful it is. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you can hear those birds. There are different ones. Anyways, so here we are at the Brazen Altar at Three Crosses Trails Ministry in Muskoka, Ontario. And this is our version of the Brazen Altar. It's an exact dimensional replica of the one in Exodus, and that God instructed Moses to build. Only ours has a big rock busting into it. We built it around the rock on purpose to signify that the sacrifice of Jesus Christ replaces any sacrificial system like this, the Brazen Altar one. He is the final sacrifice, and that's the significance there, or the symbolism there. And you can actually lie back on that rock and offer your body as a living sacrifice. That's all. The only sacrifices left is us, to sacrifice up our lives and live honoring God. Live in tune with His Holy Spirit as He leads you from within. So I'm just walking up the trail here to the tabernacle. There's a water runoff from the higher mountain up behind the tabernacle there. Had to find its way around, and we just sort of had to deal with it. And so it came down this left side of the tabernacle, and it sweeps around there, and that little, normally it flows right up to mid-August. Anyways, how do I get back to your normal picture? There we go. Flows right by here. And there is a river of living water that flows out from underneath the temple we read about in heaven. And the trees grow beside it. Their leaves are for the healing of the nations. Boy, we could use some of that. Anyway, we love how this moss just grows in here at Three Crosses. And the more that you walk the trails and clear them, it just takes off. It actually carpets the trails. So this is an exact replica dimensionally, of the Old Testament Tabernacle that God instructed Moses to build. And out in front, this is our Muskoka-style bronze laver, which is for washing up. You know, sacrifice is dirty business. You should approach God. Hey, what does it say? With a clean hands and a pure heart? Well, clean yourself up here. This kind of symbolizes a baptism. You know, the washing through baptism in terms of your approach to meet with God in the Holy of Holies, which has been opened up by the sacrifice of Jesus, which is why in our tabernacle, the only thing that wasn't there was the cross. And so the cross signifies the way in. It's what tore that veil, and it's the way in to the Holy of Holies to meet with God between the cherubim's wings. But we're not there yet. So in the outer court, and not the outer court, we were just in that, in the holy place, we have the table of consecrated showbread. We're still going to make some carrying, like iron handles. But this is the consecrated table of showbread. That's the exact size. And the carry sticks. Oh, and this would be the bread of presence, you know. And so when I look at this, I just see Jesus as the bread of life. And so the consecrated table of showbread to me is reminiscent of Jesus in His work in opening up a pathway to God for us. And So that's what the table of the consecrated showbread kind of provides imagery for me. Whereas over here, we have the seven-tiered menorah or lampstand, reflective of the sevenfold Spirit of God, fueled by a little 12-volt solar battery out there. No, fueled by olive oil in those days. But they would. So olive oil is symbolic of the Holy Spirit. So here we have, and the Holy Spirit brings light into the world. So it's what would light up the tabernacle is these lights that are fueled by olive oil. We had to have it stand up somehow, and we didn't know what we were going to do in terms of wrought iron, but we ended up saying, let's grab a rock from right here, from right at this place on the property. And Clarence drilled a hole in the rock and then wrapped it around with that metal. And so now it's interesting because then the rock, once again, the imagery of Jesus as the rock, out of Jesus is the one that sends the Holy Spirit or light into the world there. He is the light of the world. Now, over here we have the altar of incense. And this is strength too, these horns. Beautiful to touch. Just carved out really neatly. Anyways, the altar of incense represents the smoke going up as the incense burns, represents the prayers of the people, prayers of thanksgiving, intercession, prayers of surrender, any type of prayers of thanksgiving, any type of prayer, it goes up before the Lord, hopefully as a sweet-smelling sacrifice. That's the kind of prayers we want to offer. So the veil is torn top to bottom, and we've got the cherubim imagery on the veil. And the cross, you see, therefore, is the only way into the most holy place. In the most holy place, only the high priest, only once a year could go in here, never without sacrifice or the shedding of blood on his behalf, and it was still a worrisome thing. But the veil is now torn open for everyone to boldly come in, but boldly come in by the pathway that Jesus' sacrifice opens up for us. So you shouldn't enter there, or as you enter, you should accept the sacrifice made on your behalf. Respect the holy place, so to speak, right? Like peer in there and look at it, and maybe one day you'll decide, hey, symbolically, I want to go underneath this cross. I want to rest in the sacrifice Jesus made for me, and I want to enter in to the most holy place, the mercy seat, the place where God's presence dwells between the cherubim's wings. The speaking voice of God encounter happens here. And this has been opened up to us by Jesus through the Holy Spirit. And actually, I was coming in here and I just kind of put my hands down like together down here. I can't do because I'm holding the camera. And then I lean my head just in here. And so I'm actually sitting with my hands folded, just resting in the symbolic presence of the Lord. And it's actually very comforting, sheltering almost. I put my head actually right underneath these wings, and it's really neat. I mean, it's symbolic, but sometimes we need a little help, We need a little experiential help to get us there, because the spiritual realm is so hard to understand, so hard to figure out. So a little bit of imagery sometimes helps our brains, both sides, work together to come out and be able to have an encounter in spirit with the Lord. And that's what we focus on here at Three Crosses Trails Ministry. Helping people encounter God in the midst of God's creation, green space, and finding healing for their soul, finding rest, and connecting intimately with God. At one of the 12 sacred spaces that we're going to build, or we are building, we have several of them. So it's happening pretty quickly. But this here obviously is one sacred space, but with about probably 8 little sacred spots that you can come and reflect on at. You know, we've got Golgotha, the upper 3 crosses, we've got the Garden of Gethsemane, we've got Elijah's cave, and the wilderness, temptation in the wilderness, another spot. A whole bunch of places to just get quiet. You see how quiet it is here? I should just stop talking for a minute. I think I will before I end here. Three crosses. I want to say 3 Crosses Experiential Listening Center, which is what we started as. And we kind of just call ourselves 3 Crosses Trails now. Helping to provide some pathways for encountering God in the midst of His creation. This is Dr. Jeff Roy. We'll talk to you later.